All right, thank you everyone for being here. UAB coming off a 26-21 victory at North Texas to clinch its second consecutive West Division title. Headed down to Boca this weekend for a Conference USA Championship game to defend the title that UAB won last year. UAB became the first team in the history of Conference USA last year to win it on the road, looking to replicate that this year. So with that, I'll hand it over to Coach Clark, and then we have student athletes Lee DeFore, Kendall Parham, and TD Marshall in the back.
All right, morning everybody. Morning. So starting off from, let's go back to the last game. Obviously, knew it was going to be a tough challenge to go to North Texas and play those guys. Senior day, their last game, bowl game, and we knew what kind of player Mason Fine was. I mean, obviously he didn't disappoint. And just their whole team. I knew they were going to battle us and fight us, and they did. It was a heck of a game. Back and forth, and really just proud of our guys. We didn't make, obviously we had some mental mistakes. We had some things not go exactly as we always plan, but I think the one thing you can say about our guys is they play really, really hard. And, I always tell our coaches, the biggest testament to me as a coach is just how hard do your guys play for you. And I think you saw that with our players and just the will to win, And so I think it was a great atmosphere to be in, especially in those timeouts where guys are talking about playing for each other and playing for our family. And that's what this thing's supposed to be about. So it was just a really cool to get to be part of that. Obviously, anytime you go on the road to get a win in any league, I think ours especially is tough. It made it even that much more special. Obviously, you love to get these things at home, but to get it on the road is always tough and always fun. So, and I know you'll ask me a question about that game, but just moving forward, this was our goal all year. This is what we broke it down on, and I think it's really cool to see, obviously where we were picked and the loss of all the seniors, and it's something that we knew about, we talked about, and then to have some injuries and all the things that this group has overcame this year to get to be in this spot. No doubt FAU is a very good team. I think they're very balanced. I think they're very good offensively, weapons across the board. Obviously, Coach Kiffin has done a great job, great play caller. And then defensively, I think that's one of the things they've really done a good job. Their defense has gotten a lot better. Obviously going to their place at home. It's going to be good to get some good weather, though. So we're excited about that. But, give him a lot of credit. Done a terrific job. And I guess this is their second time in 3 years to be back. So, obviously, we're excited. Questions?
We'll get a little reflective here on Monday morning. 5 years ago today, about 100 yards over there, you were in a now demolished dentist office being told the program was shut down.
Yep.
Would you have thought then that today you'd be sitting here looking at playing for your second straight conference championship?
No, I don't think at that moment in time that's what we were thinking about. But, probably makes all that much more sweet, just to go through what we've gone through. And as I've told that story so many times, just all the people that fought for us and believed in us. And but I want to give the guys that really were in this building and were part of that a lot of credit, because they're the ones that had to live it every day. But I think, it's special. Last year was so special, but this year's just got a different special, to lose all those guys that we had for a while, and for this group to buy into what we were doing, but that's a bad memory that turned into really a good memory. As we say a lot of times, I don't know if we'd be here today if we hadn't had to go through that, even though we wouldn't really want to wish that on anybody else. But it's a lot of great things have happened since then.
Keeping on nostalgia, what are some of your thoughts on Pat Sullivan passing away?
Yeah, Pat was a really good friend of mine. Used to come to practice a lot, We got to go play against him when I was at Jack State, and he was Sanford. And just, I knew him all the way back from when he was here recruiting my players at Prattville. Just what a good man. I mean, truly one of the best people you'll ever meet. I've talked to a lot of people who had gotten the same cancer he had, that he called and lifted him up. People, just things nobody would even know about. But he would come on Thursdays a lot and just hang out and watch practice. We've been doing that the last couple of years. Would sit up in my office or would sit down. He just loved football. And great player, great coach, but a better person. And just, I know he's in a better place. I know it's tough on us that are still left here, but I'm praying for his family and just thought the world of it.
Coach, what concerns you most about your opponent this week?
Yeah, once we get a list out. They've got an All-American tight end who they don't just have him, they get the ball to him in every way you can get it to him. Really good running backs. They got a quarterback. I think I saw him throw about a 70-yard ball in the air. So big arm, athletic, very well schooled. I think when the head coach, deals with the quarterbacks and is the play caller, they're going. That's why I always say kind of where that head coach leans to. They're usually going to be pretty good on that side of the ball. There's no doubt they've got. He's a good play caller, very innovative. And then defensively, I think that maybe get lost in. They're very good defensively, and I think probably like us, from the early games to the end, they've gotten a lot better. They've kind of figured out who their personnel is. I know they got a running back that was hurt like I think first game, and he's really good. But I think they're just very dynamic on offense, and then they got a really good special team. So just a good football team.
Speaking of their coach, I have to ask, what do you think of Kiffin, and did you see his tweet yesterday?
Talking about me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like him. I think last year when we were in Boca, he sent a picture of his boat to me, that he was on the boat while we were getting, in the bowl game. So I'll vote for him for Coach of the Year. So I'll go back with that one. But he's interesting. He's a mess. So, but he's funny. So.
Do you have a relationship with the coach?
Yeah, we just know each other from when he was at Alabama, and I was at South and different places, and would call me about coaches or things, and of course being in the conference together, I have a good relationship with all those guys. So he's done a great job. Like I said, 2 of the last 3 years in the championship game. So
Speaking of the conference, Frank Wilson was let go yesterday
Yeah.
at UTSA. Bobby Water resigned this morning. What are your
I
thoughts
didn't know
on
that.
some of this changing of the guard in the
Yeah.
conference, as well as some other openings here in the SEC? Has anybody reached out to you on that?
yeah. So which one are you asking me first?
Let's go with Conference USA.
Okay, so you just hate it for those guys, and asking me about Lane. I mean, obviously we go down to Destin every year and have our meetings, and it's families, and those folks, and which is how Lane and I knew each other before, but you just feel for those guys. I mean, they got families. You meet the wives, you meet the kids, and that's what gets lost in all this, in all the things that we go through now. And I love to hear people talk about what these coaches make, but go put your life on the line every day of the year, and we know all that goes into it. So I don't feel sorry for us, because we're well paid, but it's not an easy life. I mean, there's a lot of pressure, and you see the other side of it on this. So at the end of this, so I feel for them. I know those guys are great coaches. Both of them. They had success before, and they'll land on their feet. But I know it's tough for their family, and I think kind of like what happened with us when our program got shut down. People don't think about the assistants, and I had to get all those assistants. I didn't personally do all of it, but we had to help them get jobs. And so now you got all these assistants. The head coaches are going. They're great coaches. They're well known. They'll get a job. But what about them guys? So, and their families. It's just part of the business. I think we all understand it. We know it. We go in there with our eyes open, and that's part of it. You get it, but you feel for those guys.
So what was the turning point this season after the Southern Miss game? That was a tough loss.
Yeah.
You guys came back.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, we were really trending in a good direction, and I go to Tennessee. I think we caught them playing better. And, you look back on that game and you say, okay, if we'd really went close to the vest and said, let's see if we can win it with the defense. But that was a hard decision. We were really throwing the ball well. And then you lose your quarterback, and there's just, we were so blessed last year to have Tyler, who was an older, more experienced, and we had such a good running game at the time. That's what people, I think, forget. We were so good defensively and had the real good running game that we could ease him into it. He could run the ball and throw play action. And I think the Southern Miss game was a game, if you had a game to go back and say, okay, if I'd had anything to do over, I'd change my thought on that game and said, all right, we're going to go close to the vest. We're going to run the football, and we're going to play defense. We're not going to turn it over. But we were still throwing it well. And, what you see in practice out of a guy is not what you see in a game. Obviously, they were open the week before us. It was a huge game for them. And we don't play well. We don't play well offensively. We turn it over. So 2 weeks in a row, we're kind of reeling. And I think we really did a good job of coming in saying, we're not going to turn it over. We're going to run the ball. We put the pads back on the offense on Monday, and those scout guys, I think I came in here and told you guys that. And we said, we're going to get back to being who we were before. And I went to the defense that day, and I said, we're not going to turn the ball over, and y'all are going to have to win it for us. And we don't mean we're not going to find ways to score. And then we said something to the offense. So we made that change to protect Dillon and get our dang running game back. So, we had El Paso, and then we had the big game with La Tech. We did it again. We said, hey, we're going to keep the same formula. We practiced the same way. And then this week, as Tyler is getting better, not totally well yet, do we change? And we just said we're not. We're going to keep the same formula. We're going to find a way to win it the same way. Continue to play great defense. Defense has been, outstanding. And win with special teams and move the ball that way. And I think we found a way to do that. Dillon has continued to get better. Our running game, we lose Jermaine Brown. Somebody steps up. We've had a ton of injuries this year, but just proud of the group, for believing in each other and fighting and sticking with the plan.
How difficult is it to make that change during the middle of the year?
It's tough. Yeah, first just having a guy who's not been in the wars. And I think for a quarterback to have not seen what a quarterback has to go through, till you've done it, you hadn't done it. And so it was tough because, our 3 receivers had been playing great. So now you got to bring in these receivers and go, look now, this is what's good for the team. We're going to go from throwing it and you guys being the top in the country in all these categories and up there to you got to block. And, give those guys credit. They handled it. They blocked their tails off. Coaches have done a good job with that. And, I think that's sometimes easier to say and harder to do. Because the receivers, we talk all the time about being unselfish, but they want to catch the ball, especially when it's been going good for them, So for those guys to understand, for the whole line to buy into it, and the defense to say, they didn't blink. They said, Coach, we got you. Just don't turn it over, And so I think it was a team-wide effort to do that and make that change.
So when your name is getting mentioned for some of these openings in the SEC, how do you approach that?
Yeah, I think, as I say it to you guys all the time, that's if we're doing our job, then that's what's going to happen. I've said the whole time I love here. This is my home, and so we'll just see what happens with those, and we'll look at them as they come. But if I'm doing my job and we're doing our job, that's what's going to happen. They're going to mention our name.
We talk about coming into this season, lost 30 seniors or so, but you had guys in specific groupings that were experienced. What's the benefit of playing in Boca last year for the bowl game going into this one?
Sure.
Because obviously there's a difference with it being much more business-like this week than it was for just the bowl game.
Yeah, the best thing is we've been down there and won in that stadium. We've done it recently. The locker room, all those things are important to me. I think just the feel of it, having played in that environment. It's not a bowl game. You don't have that extended amount of time there, and you're playing. This is their home now. This is not us and the other team. Both similar coming in, both new to both of us. It is their home, so that's an advantage, obviously. But I think it helps us. I don't think there's any way around it. It helps us just from a familiarity standpoint.
More routine.
Yeah.
Because you talk a lot about routine, and especially on the road.
100%. I just think knowing the place, feeling good about it, feeling confident. It's a grass stadium. We don't play on grass a lot. But I think having that feel for it. Obviously, once again, it's not our home, but we have at least been and had played well there.
Any other questions for Coach?
I'm looking at the board and I can see the representation of what you guys think of the Florida Atlantic defense.
Yeah.
What does that say when you read that?
Yeah, I think, if you just go to very fast, athletic, and physical, that's what you look for in a defense. And I think that's who they are. You look at their we know what kind of football players are down in that area. So, it's one of them deals where you kind of walk out your door and they're there. If they, and I think that's one of those things. If you're coaching in that area, if we can just keep the guys at home, You know, I mean, how many of those guys from that area are going all across the country to play? So defensively, that's what they look. They're long, they're fast, they're athletic, they're physical. You know, I think you can build a pretty good defense for those guys in that area, and we have a few of them.
I know after Southern Miss, it probably one of the lowest points you guys have been as a team in a while.
Yep.
But you've done the things that you've needed to do, but you also needed to be lucky. So when you're good and lucky, I guess, which would you prefer of the two, and how do you think everything is played out accordingly?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, over a course of a season, a lot of things happen, you know, and so that's why you just got to keep your head down, keep working, and it's not easy, you know. So as coaches, we talk about adversity, but I mean, we have to take our own advice, you know, I don't care who you are, I don't care how positive you are, it's easy to get down, you know, and so that was one of those moments when, how do you react when you get punched, you know, and I think that's what we needed. And then, I mean, you want to be good and lucky, so, you know, I think that's part of it. But, I mean, also these other teams have to go play with injuries and guys having an open date before them, and maybe they get a guy banged up or two, and, you know, it happens to all of us. So, you know, I think I've been in some other cases where we weren't lucky, you know. So, but it is good to be good and lucky. I'll take both.
Can you put into perspective for people that don't really know what it's like to be in your shoes, that how exciting the last 3 weeks have been for you guys to accomplish what you had to do, and how rewarding that is as a head coach?
Yeah, it's one of the, and I've been blessed. I mean, I've been part of a lot of great games and championships and great players, but this is one of those that's right up there to have. You know, and I knew this year was coming. You know, it was one of those things we had to go build it the way we did. We had no choice. But I hear what it said. I mean, you know, it just, those, you know, some guys can't help themselves and talk about how many people we lost, and, well, we're going to see what they do. Now, like, we had some advantage by shutting our program down, you know. And I, you know, to myself, I'm thinking, okay, let's go shut your program down and see how good you do. But I did hear that talk. I saw where we were picked, and I've always been motivated by those kind of things. So pick against us, you know. So there's that competitor side, you know, in me coming out. But it's really beyond rewarding to see a young group. I mean, and we basically got them all back next year. But for this small group of seniors, I mean, you know, we talk about DeFore and Vogel and those guys that really believed in our program, believed in us, who came back. And then this other group still believed in us when we were trying to, you know, show them things that we were going to do with, you know, hey, we're going to build this building here and all those things. So you want to do it for them. You want to do it for this program, you know, and so it's really beyond rewarding, you know, just to be here. And, you know, of course, you know, I got to enjoy that till we got landed, and then it was, you know, here's this next really good opponent. So, you know, it's just what we do, but it's very rewarding.
Obviously, you guys got a real aggressive defense. You're going up against a team with a creative play caller.
Yep.
How much more control-wise defensively are y'all going to have to be this game, just as far as, you know, eye control, being,
Sure.
you know, more disciplined rather than kind of going off?
Yeah.
Because you look at the past game against North Texas after the second interception, y'all were much more aggressive on defense.
Yeah.
Get 4 more sacks after that. So, you know, how do you kind of
Yeah,
work that?
that's a good question. You know, I think we knew in that game it was if you looked at how we played, we were in 2-man, we were in drop 8 zone, we were in 5- and 6-man pressure. I mean, it was just, we were changing it every single play. I mean, you got a 4-year starter at quarterback. So, once again, it's kind of that same boat this year of a guy who, you know, is going back looking 2 years ago and say, hey, what hurt him? You know, what hurt him in this formation? And, you know, so that's what we're going against is somebody that understands that. And, you know, this reverse hurt them, this screenplay hurt them, this whatever. So we've got to go back and self-study ourselves and see what hurt us. And, you know, that's the cat and mouse game of football, you know, and we've got to know what our weaknesses are and on both sides of the ball, because they're going to try and exploit them just like we're going to try and exploit theirs.
So I know you're a coach's coach. What makes Lane Kiffin, in your perspective, such a great play caller? Can you explain that to the layperson?
Yeah, you know, and I say there's offensive coaches, there's defensive coaches, there's mixtures of both. I think, you know, guys that I always call those mad scientist guys, you know, that are, you really can't put your finger on them, kind of who they are. I mean, those are the guys that are hard to deal with, and some of those abstract guys really are some of the better offensive play callers. That you really can't put your hands on who they are. Are they a run team? Are they a throw team? Are they a trick team? Are they, they're a little bit of everything. So.
Got time for one or two more questions.
How advantageous is playing on this Saturday in a handful of games, and it helped towards recruiting for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you're the game, or one of the only games around. I mean, was it 9 or 10 championships? And we're in one of them. So I think that's huge. And it was evident as we're getting on the plane, and our guys that we've got committed and recruits are texting us. Congratulations. And that's what a program looks like. That's what we've been talking about. This is what a real program looks like, not just a good team. Now this is what a great program looks like, and that's who we've wanted to be the whole time. I said that was my goal day one for us to be a national program. And now I think we're starting to see that. And, I think the best is ahead.
All right, Coach.
All right? Thank y'all. All right. Y'all have a good day.
All right, let's. Who wants to start first? We'll start with Kendall Parham,
Congrats on the title.
Thank you.
senior wide receiver. Kendall has over 600 receiving yards this year. He's one of the big three that has become a premier blocker for the team. So with that, we'll hand it over to Kendall.
Hey, how we doing?
So this is about the third week in a row y'all been tasked with kind of that downfield blocking. How are y'all enjoying that? 'Cause I mean, y'all still get a few shots downfield and everything, but how have y'all been enjoying just being more physical, with those defensive backs?
I had to say, really just winning, just knowing that it helps us win, just knowing that it keeps the defense on their toes, so they can't just drop 8 anymore and try to defend the pass, but just knowing it's the best for the team, and it also boosts those guys that's in the backfield confidence up, knowing that they can run and they don't just have to if they don't get a run, then they be like, man, now we got to wait for Kendall or Austin or Mitch to catch a ball. Now they know, like, hey, I can go back here and I can make a run too, I can make a big play too, and just and also boosting the O-line confidence up, because that's their job too, so just bringing the morale back for everyone.
Morale, you mentioned morale, bringing it back. What was it like after that Southern Miss loss, and how did you guys, find that inner strength to adapt into the team that you are now?
Or like Coach Clark said, we came in that Monday, put on pads. Everyone was in pads. We knew that we had to establish a run game, that we cannot just allow teams to just drop 8 anymore and kill the passing game. And we knew we didn't have a run game. We had to establish the run game, and that was just something that all the coaches made an emphasis on, that we had to build that back up, and we did a darn good job doing it.
What's the team morale going down for?
Well, of course, it's at an all-time high right now, knowing that we was picked 4th and that we just won the West. So of course everyone's I won't say at their peak, but almost there. But we know going into there we're gonna have to fight, because obviously we're going into the opposing team home, and no one likes for someone to just come into their home, take the remote out their hand and the sandwich out their mouth. So we're not gonna go in there fighting.
You were at the Book Bowl last year. So what kind of experience is just being into that stadium, like top of coach, just having that routine, locker rooms, kind of, just the more business-like approach rather than just the bowl game?
Well, basically, just getting the feel for it, because they are a grass field team. So, just getting the feel for the grass, just getting the feel for, like the lot. Even most people might not think that's like such a big deal, but it is. Like, just already seeing it, already being comfortable with it a little bit, just getting it under your wings.
After everything this season, how big is it to be playing in a championship game?
Man, that's what you dream of. That's what we play for, to get to the big game. So it's unbelievable, especially get there 2 years in a row from a program that was just gone just a couple years ago. It's incredible.
What makes Bill Clark such a great coach?
You say, is he such a great coach?
Yeah, what makes him such a great coach?
I had to say, because he looks at the little things that a lot of coaches would just overlook. Like, he's very business-like, and he's also like a guy that you can come to. Like, his door is always open if you ever need him. So he's not always like just like this strict guy that most people might see him as. He's a laid back guy that you can come to him whenever, and he also just takes the time out. The coaches are always looking at the little things. They're always coaching us about the little things. They're always helping us which ways to watch film, watch defenses, or watch offenses with the other guys. So just always being there for us, him and the rest of the coaches.
What does it mean to you as a young man, though, to see him as loyal as he has been to this program through when it was off and turning away from any type of offer, but just showing loyalty to you as a young man, as a person? What does that mean to you?
That means everything. I know I can count on him. I mean, he stayed here and there wasn't even a program here, so he's gonna go through it before he just kicks the bucket. That's how. So that means a lot. Just knowing that a coach will stay there, knowing there's not a program there, not knowing if the program is gonna come back or not. That just knowing that he's still here and producing the way he still is. That's incredible.
All good for Kendall? All right, thanks. All right. We'll move TD Marshall up to the podium. TD had a 76-yard interception return for a touchdown, which proved to be the game-winning touchdown last week at North Texas. The UAB defense is ranked 5th nationally going into the championship game. So with that, we'll open up for questions for TD.
Morning.
Did you know you had the pick six when you caught it?
Honestly, while the ball was in the air, I was just making sure I caught it first. Opportunities like that, they don't happen often. I guess you could say it was lucky. Honest mistake by Mason Fine. I don't think he intentionally wanted to throw it. How he threw it, lofted it up there, it was nothing on it. It stayed up there for a while. In my eyes, it felt like a long time it was in the air. After I caught it, I saw Big Tony, and Tony was looking directly behind me, so I figured somebody was behind me. So I knew he was going to get that person, and once I got on the sideline, I didn't see anybody but white jersey, so that's when I knew it was going to be a touchdown.
How did it feel having that convoy of big old dragons going down the field with you there?
I knew I didn't have to run as fast. I didn't want to be as tired. I wanted to celebrate a little bit, but that didn't work. I was still tired. But other than that, it felt good.
They said after the game that once you got it, you just went running and took it back to the apartment. So what's that saying come from? Where's that come from?
Desi Banks, he's on Instagram, Twitter, all that. He does these skits with this guy who's really not a person, I guess, who's named Parlay, and he's always at the apartment. So every video he makes, somebody's taking it back to the apartment. So I guess that was a good a good time for us to say it.
What's it like to essentially win the division title with a pick six as a defensive back?
Going on, playing the game, I wasn't thinking of it like that. I was just trying to make sure we won. But after that, after the game, it kind of sunk in. I was like, hey, that really won the game. That was the changing point. And after that, I was happy for a minute. Got on the plane. I'm still happy. Yesterday, kind of doing it away. This morning, came back in, almost forgot about it, and was ready to work.
How difficult is it to, as you say, forget about it and move on to the task at hand?
With social media these days, it's really hard. But you come into this building, we are on the next game immediately. So it's not that hard once you step in here.
TD, you're a local guy, and you've had a journey to get where you're at now.
Yes, sir.
But just talking about doing this in your own backyard, basically, and helping the city of Birmingham's team, really.
Just giving back to the city. We wanted to let everybody know that Alabama and Auburn aren't just the biggest schools in Alabama. Putting on for the city, putting UAB out there is basically what every team wants to do. They want to put their team out for their city, and that's basically what we did.
Any other questions for TD?
I got one more real quick, and this is away from UAB, but Coach Etheridge has advanced to a state title game,
Oh, yeah.
and a guy that you played for in high school, and won with. What makes him able to get the most out of young high school players to where they can play at their highest level?
He's a people person. He wants, what's best for his players. He's just a good guy. And once you realize that, you can buy into what he's selling you, and that's really all it takes. He always has a great group of coaches around him, and they also buy into him. So I guess it's just a good feeling, I guess.
All right, T, thank you. And last but not least, Lee DeFore. I feel like he's been up here every single week for the past 4 weeks. Since Lee's been back in the starting lineup, the offense has averaged 240 rushing yards, and a fitting way to end Lee's career is in the conference championship game. So with that, we'll turn it over to Lee DeFore yet again.
I appreciate the great introductions every week, Ted. You do a great job. I don't think anybody works harder than that guy right there. So.
Same question I kind of asked Bill 5 years ago. You were over in that now demolished building,
Right.
And now you sit here going to play for your second conference championship. Do you think it was possible on that day?
There's a lot of emotions and a lot of thoughts going through my head on that day, and I can guarantee you none of them were, 5 years from now I'm going to be playing for my second conference championship. So I think it really goes back to, and I say it every week, I sound like a broken record, but the amount of support that the city has given us, and they always believed in us, and they knew that, we have Coach Clark and his coaching staff, and they knew that he was going to take us in the right direction. And I think, the last 2 or 3 years has shown that. When you have such a strong support from the city and the fans and everyone that raised a ton of money to bring this program back, just good things have to happen when you have that amount of support. So, 5 years ago, my thoughts were, man, where do I go to play football? And now today my thoughts are, I'm glad to be back at UAB. I'm glad to have, the struggles and the hardships we went through. You couldn't replace that feeling being back, 2 years in a row for the championship.
Is it that much more satisfying?
Oh, yeah, and Coach Clark hit on it. There's people always come up with a reason to pick the Blazers, not going to be first. There's always a reason why UAB can't do this or UAB can't do that. And I think people are finally starting to realize, if you pick against us, we're most likely going to prove you wrong. But, just the amount of work and the amount of effort that we put in every day, to see the light at the end of the tunnel, it's that championship game coming. There's no better feeling, especially, being my senior year. I don't think you could end it in a better way than that.
What was the key to turning the season around there after Southern Miss?
Well, I don't think that, us as an offense or us as a team really thought, we lose to Southern Miss, we lose to Tennessee. We never thought, man, our season's just ruined. I think, we all came back in here after Southern Miss, and we all decided, what our offense wanted to look like, what our identity was going to be as a team. And it's always been a mentality and a standard that we pride ourselves on. We kind of got away from that a little bit. And I think, after Southern Miss, a lot of emphasis was put on the run game, obviously. A lot of emphasis was put on being mentally tough, physically tough, and going out and dominating opponents. And, whenever, like I said earlier, whenever you put in that much work, the amount of volume of work and effort we put in after the Southern Miss game, I think, rivals any other effort we put in to any other weeks before that. And it was just really, looking at ourselves in the mirror and understanding, if the goals we have ahead of us, if we want to be able to achieve those goals, something has to change. I think, we took a step in the right direction.
How good did it feel to see Spencer Brown eclipse the century mark again?
Yeah, to be able to be a part of that is incredible. As offensive line, we take pride in our running backs being successful, and really our quarterbacks and our receivers being successful as well. Offensive line is a very unselfish position. We don't have any statistics. We keep count of how many knockdowns or pancakes we have, but really nobody else notices us unless we mess up a snap or miss a block or something like that. So being able to help him be successful and seeing the great things he's been able to do, battling injuries and coming back, and just him and Lucius and Jermaine and everybody being successful back there is really fun to see as an offensive line and know you helped those guys get to where they are.
Who's been grading out better, you or Kendall?
I don't know. We don't get to see the wide receivers, their grades or anything, but we definitely, whenever we're coming back in here to watch film, we do see those wide receivers out there blocking guys into the sideline, getting knockdowns, and I think we might have to have some meetings with those guys, to to commend them on their hard work, because those runs that break outside, you know, when we don't do our job, the receivers are doing their job. So they're taking care of those safeties and those corners or those touchdown blocks that a lot of people don't really see. So they've done a great job.
Can you put into words, it's one thing to be able to celebrate a division title out on the field with everybody, but when you get in the locker room and see you guys, it's just you and
Right.
the intimate part of the team. What is that moment like?
Especially when you're on the road, you know that you're going into a hostile environment. You know that the guys that you have around you, that's all you brought. You know, you have a couple of fans in the stands that are there to support you every single week, but knowing you got your 80 or 90 brothers with you in the locker room and being able to go into somebody else's place and beat them, and then come back in the locker room and you see coaches dancing, you see all the guys dancing, everybody's having a great time, and being able to hold that Western championship sign up, and there's no better feeling. And that's going to be one of the things I miss the most about my football experience, is those times in the locker room after you've gone into a hostile environment. You've battled, given everything you've got, and you come out victorious, and you come back in the locker room, you just celebrate with your brothers. For people that have never been able to experience that, I don't know how you can explain that to them. It's one of the best feelings in the world, especially when you have coaches that fight every single day for you, and they got your back, and your brothers got your back, and it's just, you can't replace it. You can't really describe that to anybody.